Are you ready to learn the truth about unlocking life-changing opportunities? We're about to dive in and reveal the secret powers in unlocking the best possible first impressions that you can, and how mastering them can help improve every aspect of your personal and professional life. Hey there, I am Ian Ross, and this is Vivid Selling. Today, what we're gonna do is learn about the intricacies of unlocking all the little techniques and details involved of being the absolute best at first impressions, and how they can transform your personal and professional life. If you know how to make a correct impression the very first time you meet someone, all types of things open up for you. Your future, your possibilities, everything starts to look brighter, starts to look better. You make more money, you have better relationships. Life is a lot better when you're good at first impressions. We will also share a story about a door-to-door sales guy named Freddie, who turned his life around simply by improving his ability to make a great first impression and make it the one that lasts, the one that counts. So are you ready to open new doors and learn how to make lasting connections? Let's get started. First, we're going to talk about building up to greatness. What do I mean by that? First impressions impact all aspects of our life. From personal growth to business success, everything depends on the very first time you meet someone. It begins with that initial encounter, so let's dive into why. So let's explore why. Have you heard of the 7-second rule? In just 7 seconds, the average person forms their opinions on you based on your looks, behavior, and how you sound. Your body language, your appearance, your clothes, everything about you. The condition your skin is in, my cheeks are red sometimes, whatever that is, people form those impressions in just 7 seconds. So you need to learn how to make those first 7 seconds incredible. You do this with a combination of two main things, and that's confidence and competence. Those are what go together and what give you the ability to crush it in that first impression. To leave a positive impact on someone, to leave someone with a feeling like that guy knew what the heck he was talking about, I'm glad to be in the room with that guy and I'd like to be in the room with him again, you got to think about it this way. You need to show confidence and competence on everything you talk about. So even if it's something you're unfamiliar with, if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, the truth is you don't want to sound like a moron by stumbling around and being fakely confident. You don't want to totally fake the idea of expertise, because that's how you stumble around and look like an idiot. What you want to do is have the confidence to acknowledge where your competence stands on any topic, on anything in conversation. You need to be able to position yourself as not necessarily being an expert, but being a curious person who's willing to learn. Whatever the circumstance, whatever the topic of conversation, if you approach it with either confidence and competence in yourself or the topic, the energy you give off will project itself outwards, and the person you are talking to will feel it. It'll be a great first impression. You also need to up your appearance. Upping your appearance is really important. Making sure you look nice, you look sharp, you look clean, you take care of yourself. Are your nails trimmed? Is your hair cut? How crazy is your beard? Like mine might be a little bit right now. I have to fix that later. Your appearance matters a lot more than we would like to think. How you dress, how you present yourself, all of those things really matter purely on the visual cues. And you have complete control over it, you know? You don't need a Louis Vuitton handbag, a Gucci belt, or a Rolex watch. What you need is the ability to look well put together. It's not the brand name that matters, how you compose yourself and how you carry yourself in those clothes. You also need to know how to dress differently for different situations. How you groom, how you dress, all of those things, those little habits, those little aspects of what makes you you, and how you present yourself outwards to whoever you're talking to, it varies depending on the situation. If you're going to the Met Gala, you need to look a little bit different than if you're going to a Mets game. The setup should depend on the situation you're going into. That helps you blend in, that helps you feel natural. You want to feel natural. That's where the impression comes. Here's another tip. You also want to dress sometimes just a little bit nicer than everyone else around you. And I do mean just a little bit, because by elevating yourself up or being in the position where you're at least never underdressed, you will be in a position to establish yourself as being well put together. So don't show up in a 3-piece suit to a ball game, right? But don't also show up totally underdressed when it matters. Let's talk about conversational excellence. What do I mean by that? A great impression, first, last impression, whatever it is, to make a great impact on someone, there's a lot more to it than just how you look, even though that is the most important thing, because it's the first thing. In addition to how you stand, how you present yourself, you need to be able to communicate well. You need to sound articulate and confident in how you project yourself outwards and in the words you choose to use on any given situation. So you need to know how to start conversations, have certain questions ready and prepared depending on the situation. So if you're at a networking event, do you know how to ask the right question about what someone does, about what they're interested in, about what brought them to the event? Are you prepared for that type of situation? If you're at a singles event, you're trying to meet the love of your life, do you know how to have those types of conversations? Are you familiar with the approach of being flirtatious, of being charming, of being serious and poised, of being professional, of casual, all of these things? Being prepared to know how to communicate depending on the circumstance will elevate you above everyone else in the room. That's a really key point because your impression is only relative to the other people around you. If you are okay in a room full of absolute 10s, you're not gonna make a great impression, right? So the main thing is that you also have to stand out among the people around you. That matters too. Everything is relative. And also practice active listening. Hear what it is that is being said to you so you can mirror back their energy, talk to them about what they actually said, ask questions related to something they actually said to you. So if someone says to you, I'm a rock climber, you might actually say, that's really interesting. I have always wanted to know, what is the difference between climbing outdoors and climbing indoors? Could you help me understand the real difference in your experience when you're climbing a rock wall indoors or a boulder outside? Tell me about that. That rock climber is gonna feel like you're the coolest person in the room because you heard them and asked an engaging question back to them. That's a great impression. Let me tell you the story of Freddie, a struggling door-to-door knife salesman who was just barely getting by, not really closing any deals at all, to be entirely honest. He was living off his parents' money. But what Freddie did is he turned his career around by focusing on first impressions because he was struggling. He couldn't close a thing. But he was working tirelessly. He was knocking doors early in the morning. He was knocking doors late at night. He just couldn't get a sale. He didn't know what the heck he was doing, but it wasn't working. The sales just weren't coming in. He was trying and trying, man. He couldn't figure out what the heck is going on. It was driving him nuts. Then one day, Freddie, who was struggling to get by day to day, went on a blind date with a brutally honest young woman. Now, the woman didn't seem particularly interested or disinterested in the date, right? She wasn't giving a lot of information to him either way. He didn't know if she liked it or if she was distant. None of it was really clear to him, but he thought it was going well enough. But it wasn't until the very end, when Freddie leaned in to give that goodnight kiss, that she reached her hand out and put it on his chest to say, hang on a second. With her hand on his chest, she explained to him in very direct words how he never had a chance. Sorry, but no, she said. I could tell as soon as I met you were gonna try and kiss me. And to be honest, you give off kinda creepy vibes. Now, Freddie was in door-to-door sales. He was used to rejection, but this one hit a little different. What stood out to him was that he thought this was going fine, but he never had a chance. He couldn't figure out why. He couldn't get that feedback out of his mind. Could this be the missing piece for me in sales? He thought. Am I just turning prospects off from the very start? Did I never give myself a chance to begin with? The next morning, Freddie put in a little extra effort to look his best when knocking on the doors. He wore his ironed polo shirt, he brushed his teeth and combed his hair. He got all ready, spruced up. He was even practicing his body language in the mirror, which is not something he had done before. He knocked on the first door of the day. He stood ready, poised. He'd thought about this moment. He was prepared. The door opened. The homeowner greeted him with a smile. Now, they started off by just being polite to him, right? They weren't particularly interested in buying knives from some guy who just knocked on their door. But soon, it became pretty clear to Freddie, at least in that moment, that he was giving off some type of magnetic charm. That was the only way he could think to describe it. Something was happening. He came in, he sat at the kitchen table, opened up his little briefcase, and showed these beautiful knives, right? And as he presented them, as he went through his presentation and showed all the cool things about them, showed how shiny they were and the things they could cut, his usual gag, the thing he had been trained to do at the door-to-door sales office. He went through his whole presentation. What he did is he maintained eye contact, he kept his shoulders back, he seemed pleasant, he had a smile ready on his face, everything was going well. He had confidence, he had competence that he was doing this right and he deserved to get this sale. He listened attentively to their needs, acknowledged what it was they were saying to him, asked questions about them, learned a little bit more about their situation, and then related it back to the knives. There was no extra training involved in this. He was just thinking, how can I make the best first impression? How do I make this a really great first blind date? So he was smiling. He was nodding, and he maintained his pleasant posture through his whole presentation. To his amazement, the homeowner purchased not just the entire set of knives they had offering, but ordered 2 more sets to be gifts for their friends, because the holiday season was right around the corner, so why not? They liked Freddie. They thought, hey, these knives seem pretty nice. Let's make these gifts. Feeling emboldened, Freddie stumbled out the door, amazed that he'd just gotten this sale. He couldn't quite understand what it was that had happened, but he knew something had changed. So what he did, he decided to be intentional and tactical about his approach to the doors, about how he stood there, about how he presented himself. Homeowners who had previously slammed the door in his face or just turned him away, now they seemed to welcome him with open arms. Come on in. What is it you're offering? How can I help you? What's going on, young man? His sales went from nothing to amazing. He skyrocketed. Suddenly, he was crushing it at his company. The struggles he went through before became a distant memory. It was just a thing of the past. The fact that people used to slam the door in his face every single time he knocked, he couldn't even remember what that was like, because his impressions mattered now. He took care of himself and he paid attention to what it was like when they opened the door to him. He went from just being another struggling door-to-door sales guy who could barely make ends meet and would be laughed off the street, and people told him he didn't have a real job, commission only was a scam, none of this was worth it, he was annoying homeowners, everything was bad about his life. He went from that to a sales superstar. All of it started with just a little bit of self-awareness to focus on making sure he left a great first impression. Thanks for tuning in and learning what it's like to leave a great, lasting impression with someone the very first time you meet them. I hope these insights will help you create new opportunities in business and help make lasting connections in your personal life. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Vivid Selling. Also, be sure to share your own experiences in the comments below. What was it like to have a great first impression? Do you remember what that felt like? Also, did any of you have any experiences similar to Freddie? That brutal blind first date where suddenly you realize, I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm deeply embarrassed. And you realize, you know what? It's time to get tactical and strategic and make sure I have a repeatable approach so that I can succeed in life and in business. Hit the comments below. Until next time, go out there and crush it already. Make some sales.